watching Good Morning Nigeria, and it's now time for newspaper review.
Well, our newspaper reviewer, Chukwudi Okoli Ubaja, is here. Good morning, Chooks. Happy New Year to you.
Welcome back from leave. You were missing.
Thank you.
You know, you're a sight for sore eyes. It's not just the serenity of your general deportment. It is also your sartorial.
He's speaking English.
You understand what I'm saying?
Thanks for the
I am
compliments.
Torrentified this morning. Hello, Jumai.
You're speaking to Renchi this
I don't know
morning.
who introduces you on this program. This parrot should take it down a bit.
So you're welcome. How was your weekend?
Fine, and yours?
We had a restful weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go to the papers, and I am beginning the paper review this morning with the Leadership newspaper, and below the masthead, above the masthead of the Leadership newspaper, the story of Ayuba Bello, how a pay scholarship sustained a family's livelihood. You find the details on page 30. And just below the masthead, FBN, why banks cannot comply with order lifting restrictions on GHL's account. If you want to know what it's talking about, you go to page 7. And a side piece of picture story, 2027, El Rufai Amechi Obi orders spreading hostility. That is attributed to the presidency. Details on page 2. Presidential assent delaying regional commissions takeover. Find details on page 7. 28 die in Ondo Road crash. Details on page 24. And 16 rescued from traffickers in Kaduna. You find all the details on page 16. And the headlines on the Leadership newspaper: Nigeria, others risk imported inflation. With riders, experts doubt Nigeria's capacity to exploit trade opportunities. Predict crude oil price fall. And the presidency says, let's put Nigeria first. And China to report Trump to World Trade Organization as Canada, Mexico retaliates. You find all the details on page 4. And the picture story, you see their Leadership Gold Standard Awards picture series. This award is a validation of our effort, and it will ginger us to do more. That's Governor Eno, Governor of the Year. And there you see the picture there in giving his award. Emola?
Yeah, thank you, Jumai. I have the Daily Trust newspaper with me. And just below the nameplates, you just talked about the Ayuba Bello story. Below that, we have the 30 dead, 2 injured in Ondo auto crash. Details of that story can be found on page 7. NLC nationwide strike against telcos tariff hike and error. Stakeholders. Details on page 6. Oil marketers now loading petrol from Port Harcourt Warri refineries, Petron. Details of that story can be found on page 23. Federal government plans fresh electricity tariff hike. Consumers react. Details of that can be found on page 4. And we have the pictures of the 2025 World Hijab Day celebration in Abuja and Lagos yesterday. And the women just dressing and adorning themselves. And the Muslims in Southwest have rights to set up Sharia panels, GNA. Details of that story can be found on page 4. Chooks?
Yes, Demola. You talked about the regional commissions not taking off due to a delay in the president assent into the bill. I think actually unresolved issues was cited, as the reason. We don't talk too much about stories that it was gathered that that's an investigation.
They say
Remember the report by newspaper about who got the Kaduna Abuja road, and we said caution please. The next day the Minister of Works was asking for some kind of an apology because they quoted the wrong company. And they thought, so...
And even trace an address to one house.
Exactly. That's why we say take with a pinch of salt some of these investigations. It doesn't mean we're denigrating the job being done by our colleagues in the newsroom, because sometimes they are very, very accurate. Now, FG plans fresh electricity tariff hike, somewhere there. Remember that there was one that affected you and Demola. It didn't affect me.
Yeah, because
I am in the suburban areas. You are in the metropolis.
The band A, right?
You have to pay for your opulence, you know. Now, they are talking about bringing about a cost-effective tariff system, and one that also improves the service. The point is this: Nigerians are already groaning under removal of certain things and all that. Can we cope? Is there not such a thing as pricing oneself out of one's market when there's no money to buy what you're hawking?
That is it.
You're likely to take it home. So some kind of balance.
That's the big challenge, actually.
Some kind of balance needs to be effected so that at the end of the day, the economy will grow to everyone's satisfaction. Trump is not on a rampage. That's the president of what is called God's own country. Let's not denigrate him on the air. But it seems not to matter to him how many seeming enemies it tends to erect here and there. Canada and Mexico are actually retaliating.
Of course.
After he slapped 25% on them. China is getting 10%. And he says Europe cannot escape it. Maybe UK. He's not even sure UK will be spared. But the point people are making is this. China says they're taking him to the WTO.
Yeah, TO, yes, as Canada,
help adjudicate on that.
Mexico is the largest trade partner with the US and
Mexico, Canada.
I've been watching a lot of videos on TikTok and on immigrants since the deportation started.
Yes,
a lot of work is not going on because nobody to replace them at a moment's notice.
Of course, there has to be some stagnation.
Cheap labor and all that. There must be a stagnation, and that will definitely affect the economy.
Yeah, let me quickly say this before I go to how it concerns us.
Yes.
Because somebody talked about Nigeria could suffer from imported inflation.
Yes, yes.
The world economy is interwoven, whichever way you look at it. Whether China does the Silk Road and takes away yam or whatever from where, the point is that the man who needs to export the yam to China will use the Silk Road if they want to go by road. The China itself will need the yams to be exported to them, you know. So it is not as, no nation is as independent as President Trump tends to, you know. About the imported inflation, again, it goes to the fact that tentacles, the economy has, the world economy has tentacles that extend to every other person. So some of the things that are being done to Canada now could actually indirectly affect Nigeria at the end of the day.
Exactly.
That's it. Because Canada could decide, for instance, to wipe off or reduce the effect of the U.S. sanctions on it by raising money on the things it's exporting to countries such as Nigeria and the rest of it. So nobody is insulated from this. I think that it's a negotiating tactic.
It is.
I don't see this staying permanently, because America is going to be hurt.
It's an intangible, thing here. Nobody can disengage from world economy, from world politics.
Well, you can't.
You can't. No.
I think it's a bargaining chip.
And
they're eventually going to say, okay, we just feel that you're ripping off America as you would always, and we want to make sure there's an equilibrium.
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head there. I
Equilibrium,
mean,
yes.
that's one of the campaign, promises that
Promises,
he made.
yes, he made, yes.
So that's
One
but
thing
there's-
is that he does what he says.
Yes.
Give it to him.
Yes.
And he
So
never took a step back, even after losing the election. He was like a shadow cabinet to the Biden administration. Every time Biden brings out a policy, signs an executive order, Trump is there to hit it and bring.
Actually, he was campaigning.
He was
ahead
campaigning.
of
He never stopped
2024.
campaigning, even
That's it.
after losing the. It was a straightforward thing.
They got the Democrats.
Yes, they did.
Chooks, there's a story in the middle of the Daily Trust. A woman who just trying to justify why she sold her son for 1.5 million naira. Is it justifiable? She said she sold her son for 1.5 million naira to save herself from dying as a result of hunger.
Did you ask me that question, Demola?
I'm just
Don't
asking.
betray me on the air.
I'm a woman.
What you should ask
is
me-
it
It is not
justifiable?
justified.
What you should ask me.
You cannot carry a child
This
for
is
9
not
months.
fair. You don't even answer the question. I would ask you, is it so difficult for her family to have access to a psychiatrist? So that they check the woman's head.
Because
this is Africa for crying out loud.
I don't
How
understand.
can you sell your child for
We
hunger?
cherish a few things. When we said homosexuality is not going to be permitted here,
Yes.
it's not that we're not aware that homosexuals are in Nigeria, in Africa, but my people say, now where shame they catch, then they take
Then they
a
cover.
cloth cover.
Cover.
Fine, let them keep it to themselves. In Africa, it's unheard of. That's the point we're making. And there's a 7-year jail term
If she
for it.
can't take care of the
How
child
could
and
you
she's
think
hungry,
about selling your
she
child?
can take the child to the orphanage.
Let them check her brain. Check her.
Because as a woman carrying a baby for 9 months in your stomach, the movement, it's a whole science. It's a beautiful experience to be a mother. You understand? Everything the baby does, it's like there's a connection, and then you come out and say you're selling that child.
Debola, even scooping fuel
So-
from a falling tanker
It's
is
I
not
don't-
something that can be permitted by any right-thinking person.
I don't
What it shows
understand.
me is that you have no self-esteem.
I don't understand.
Self-esteem helps
what is
you
happening
acquire
to our
and
people?
not become a servant, play servitude to people because you like yourself. You don't love yourself. That's why you're exposing that life to danger.
Things that are happening now
You
is
don't.
was unheard
Unheard
of
of.
10 years ago.
That-
I cannot believe that I'm living in Nigeria where these things happen.
But I've said several times,
These
I
things
ask
happen.
my children
It's so
occasionally.
un-Nigerian.
I ask my children
un-African.
occasionally, are you enjoying your lives? And they say, Dad, yes, we are.
Could it be as a
I say, you
result
couldn't
of
possibly be enjoying this kind of life.
could it be as a result of global influence?
Global influence. Yes, it's there. The internet, Nigerians readily blame it all on the internet.
Because-
Absentee parents are excusing themselves from the inexcusable. When they say that, I tell them Japanese also have access to the internet.
Yes.
They keep most
Chinese
of
too,
their customs.
yeah.
The Chinese, the Indians. So Nigerians should not talk.
So we are losing our own values.
We are
and
losing our own
customs.
values. And it doesn't seem to matter to those of us who are parents. I will tell the child, me and you go put leg for one trouser. Because I'm old school.
Of course.
Okay, you've got to the stage where you can go and rent your apartment. But while you're under this roof, there are certain things my eyes abhor.
I think we should stick to the old school.
Yes, Demola.
By sticking to the old school, we now put you on hold as we go for a break. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chukudi, for coming.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.